As I mentioned in these videos, well, I kind of come across things on the lesson tee to talk about, and it seems like the last month or so I've been working a lot with grips, and grips one of the most important building blocks in the swing. It's also the source of many swing errors and compensations. A faulty grip makes it just complicates the swing, but a good grip gives you a lot of advantage. It makes it easier to return the club face to square at impact. Now you also have to have a fundamentally sound swing, and also it places your hands and wrist in the correct position so that they can bend, hinge, and cog both naturally in the backswing and the downswing. And with a good grip, these movements happen almost on their own. And if you have a poor grip, you end up fighting the correct hand and wrist action rather than allowing it to occur. So if we go back here and just, at this point, this is mid backswing. So if I just go through, you'll just see how the wrist, especially on this view on the left. So if I come back to mid downswing, see how the club head is cocked up above the hands, pointing down at the ground on the left side of the screen. As it comes through, see it's now it's pointed back at the ground on the other side. So through the impact area, that's just allowed to work. The wrists are just allowed to work naturally through there. And then on the right side of the screen over here, you can see how the club is, the shaft's pretty much pointing at the ball. And it's just going to swing naturally to the other side. And you can see it's pointed back pretty much at the same place. So it's pretty much on plane, or it follows a natural path. Well, if I don't have a good grip, those things are harder to do. And when you come back to impact, a lot of people will, as I say in the lesson tee, the ball will trick you. I'll say that again. The ball will trick you on the range. So you'll hit a good shot. You think, oh, that's it. I got it. And it's not. You just got you got right down here to impact. Right down to impact here on the one on the left over here. And you just learn how to manipulate the club face at the last second to make the ball go straight. And you think you made a different swing. Well, it's not. It's the same swing. But if you try to consciously rotate the club face down through the impact area in order to square the club face, that's very risky. You'll always rotate it too little or too much. And just an error down here of 5 degrees sends the ball off into the rough. So with a driver, the club head is coming through impact 100 to 120 miles an hour right through there. And during that downswing time, you've only got about a fifth of a second right through here that you've got to recognize the club face position. You've got to calculate the position of the club face. And then you've got to send that instructions to your brain and to your hands to rotate them exactly the right amount. There's too much to accomplish in that short period of time through here to do it. So what I advocate is a little bit of what I would call a stronger grip. So if I go back here to setup, I don't know if you can see this, but if you see that line right there, that's the top of the bottom of the left wrist. And you can see how it's rotated over to the right on the club. You don't see a line in the right wrist. So that right wrist V would be pointing at the right shoulder. This left hand is turned a little bit more over to the right, or rotated to the right, where it would also be pointing to the right shoulder. A weak grip would be where the V's would be pointing at the nose or more towards the left shoulder. And that's going to require a lot more manipulation of the club. A strong grip would be you'd see a lot more green in here of that left wrist, and it'd be pointing well to the right of the right shoulder, as would the V of the right. And a weak grip is going to force you when you come through impact when we come down into impact. It's going to force you to manipulate the face a lot to square it. A strong grip, you'll see more chicken wings through the ball holding off of the grip. So you're trying to keep the club face square from over closing. But most golfers slice, and the biggest cause of a slice is a weak grip. Now, many times, if you look over here on the right side of the screen, if you get a player where their club is going to be over here on this side of the path, and if you get it vertical like this, that's going to be a nightmare slice. So that's why people over on this side of the swing path have a much stronger grip. And if you get people over here that are on this side underneath, they're going to have a hooking problem, drawing, and so they're going to have more of a tendency to go towards a weaker type grip. So a lot of times where your club is here is going to affect what your grip is doing. But obviously, if you get someone over here, they're going to want a stronger grip to not slice. If you get some over here, they're going to want a weaker grip. But if you change the grip and leave their swing here, you're in trouble. So if you're going to change the grip, you want to move them more towards this sort of path. But anyway, one of the things over here that helps with the grip is making sure that if your grip is in the correct position, if I go from this point over here on this side of the swing, if you look from setup to impact, what's the difference? See, there's impact, there's setup. So you can see if I put this line up with where the shaft is, right here, and this line on the right hip, and I go to impact. See, there was the shaft it set up. There was the hip it set up. You can see the change from there to there. So when you make that move, if a golfer makes that move and doesn't have the proper grip, that naturally opens the club face, and the ball is going to go to the right. Now, you aren't trying to shove the hands forward, but everything is moving towards the target a little bit. But you can see the movement of the body over helps to push the hands over, because you can see it set up. The left hand's just on the inside of the left leg. See the yellow? That's the inside of the left thigh. At impact, see the hand's still on the inside of the left thigh. I haven't shoved my hands way outside my body, but I've shifted everything over. That's going to naturally open the club face. So you want to make sure stronger grip allows the club face to square naturally. So that's really important. That also adds power, because as we get back into this transition move here of the top of the swing, how the club's still going back and the hips transition, that's what starts to open up the club face. So make sure when you get down here you've got the grip. And the thing I like to emphasize in the grip, in the fingers. Make sure it's in the fingers. And with a right-handed golfer, your left hand's rotating a little bit to the right on the club in the fingers, so the V points over at this shoulder, and the right hand, the right hand is going to sit a little to the right of the shaft where the V points to the right shoulder. And then when you come into impact, you can see that left hand, you can still see that line on that left hand wrist. See, the wrist hadn't rotated over. That's still the top of the left wrist and the bottom of the left wrist. You can see it doesn't square up to there. See, now you don't see the line. See, I can see the top of the left wrist, bottom of the left wrist. Still see the top of the left wrist, bottom of the left wrist. So it hasn't gone knuckles down the way a lot of people teach that. You can still see it. See there, top of the left wrist, bottom. Still see it. It's not until there that the left wrist lines up. And now you can see the right wrist. So you can see the top of the right wrist, bottom of the right wrist. So now you don't see it. So that right wrist is squared up, squared up. Now you can see the top of the right wrist over. But the face never twists over. If you look here at the bottom, on this side, that's the top of the left wrist, and that's the bottom of the left wrist, the green. So see, it's still the top of the left wrist is still to the right, it hasn't crossed over. So you can see there, top of the left wrist, bottom of the left wrist. See, even up into here, see up into here, that hasn't crossed over. So, and you can see the wrist haven't crossed over. If you watch this right here, see the right wrist is not crossed over the left wrist. Otherwise, the red would be over the green. Still not over the green. Okay? And neither of the wrists have crossed over, and the club face is toe up right there. Still haven't crossed over. So you don't see the red cross over the green. So important. You know, the bottom line is really just the foundation of a sound, repeatable swing with a good grip. So it's an area where you have complete control to take the time to get the grip right. So work on the grip, make sure you get it good, know your swing tendencies, because if you're over the top, I would work on your swing first and then change the grip. Same if you're way underneath. I would try to get the swing on the path a little bit better, then work on the grip. So you need to have a good teacher knowing when is the right time to change the grip. If you're really struggling a lot with control, probably the grip is a good place to go. As Harvey Pennick, when I took a lesson from him, he always said, see a really good player with a bad grip, you better watch out, because they've learned how to compensate for it.